Hi there, it's Ian here, and you're watching Grumpy Opinions, the show where I'm going to tell you all about what I think of films, TV shows, games, and life in general. Let's get on with the show. Outlander is the Starz TV series written by Diana Gabaldon about Claire Randall and Jamie Fraser, two star-crossed lovers separated by 200 years of weird timey-wimey stuff and both having a serious problem dealing with being alone and apart from the other. Episode 2, Surrender, opens ominously with a redcoat, and he's pinning up a wanted poster in a doorway, and the man in the poster is a terrifying hairy biker-looking bloke called the Dunbonnet. He's probably some kind of... Oh wait, it's Jamie. Oh, sorry. Now, at Lallybroch, French Fergus, wee Jamie and their mate are all being wee nuffs, raking around for stuff they shouldn't, where they find a secretly hidden gun. Almost immediately, redcoats arrive and start making loud noises about finding Red Jamie the Dunbonnet, who they rightly suspect is being hidden by his sister and brother-in-law. So they arrest Ian for the umpteenth time, and Jenny can only look on aghast as wee Jamie tries to act with his arms pinned to his sides, all of which royally pisses off wee Fergus. Meanwhile, Jamie is doing his best Wild Man of the Woods impression, hunting down some deer in his bunnet and his mahoosive beard, and he drops the deer off at Lallybroch, and then chops it up, all stoic and silent, doesn't seem to want to talk now Claire's gone. And he continues the silent treatment until Fergus sneaks out to this cave, and right carefully mind you, he makes sure he's not followed, but he wants Jamie to teach him how to shoot a pistol, because his head's still full of rebellion and war, but Jim's having absolutely none of it, and sends him packing. But when he gets home, Jenny's popping out a baby, and the boys see a crow on the roof, and they want it gone, so they get that pistol and they shoot it. Yeah, really. And that alerts the redcoats, and then it pisses off Jamie a lot, but Mary takes the gun away, and while Jamie's doing his cute babby cuddle, so Jenny gets on his case about not moving on from Claire. And she suggests that he gets together with the midwife Mary, who's a lonely widow and a nice lady. And of course, it's right then that the British storm in, and they go all comic book soldier villains at Jenny, while Jamie hides in the next room with Ian Jr. Luckily, Jenny says the baby died, since she can't explain why it's not in the room, and midwife Mary ponies up vouching for the story, and she says it was her gun, and it was her who shot the crow and hands it over, so the soldiers go away, and life seems safe for a moment. But when Ian gets back, seemingly unaware of all this palaver, Fergus goes off to see Jamie, and the soldiers follow him, but he's smarter than he looks, and he leads them on a wild chase around the woods, and then starts openly mocking them, and of course, the main one gets really pissed off, and when he gets cornered, they pin him down and go full Jamie Lannister, lopping off his hand. Luckily Jamie's nearby and saves him, but now Fergus is down a hand, and Jamie swears to hold to the promise that he made to look after him. Then he decides to tell Ian and Jenny that he needs to give himself up, but she's not happy, but there you go. So it's back to the cave, and then Mary shows up with some dinner and a shaving kit, and after scraping his face back to something like normality, they goes and has a wash, but then she gets down to her tumty-tums and offers him a night of no-strings comfort, which he grudgingly accepts since, come on, she's a nice lady, and you're both lonely, and it's been 6 years. So the morning after, he walks into Lallybroch, bold as brass, and the waiting redcoats arrest him, falling for the ruse that he's only just returned, and they cart him off to prison. Meanwhile, in the 1950s, Claire and Frank are continuing to live together badly. Claire's getting frustrated and thinking about Jamie, and it doesn't help with Frank walking around showing off his man chest and then holding a baby and looking all cute. So she makes the decision to climb aboard the good ship Tobias and gets her rocks off, but she won't open her eyes. And things seem like they're getting better, and after dinner with some neighbours, Claire wants a little saucy fireside nookie, being all sultry and that. And Frank's like, well hey, until he realises that she still won't open her eyes, and he gets rightly upset, as she's been thinking of Jamie and just using his body, so they end up sleeping in separate beds. And to fill her time, she enrolls in Harvard Medical School, and a thunderhammer of obvious sexism strikes hard again, but with some real racism thrown in as well. And the old professor makes a derisory comment about having a woman and a Negro in his class. Dickhead. Then the rest of the class just gives her funny looks, and wouldn't you know it, only the nice black guy is friendly to her, and it looks like they could turn out to be pals. And what did I think? Well, this week has been a fascinating wee episode for trivia and historical stuff. The whole thing with Jamie and the cave is actually all based on fact, because, there really was a guy who's called the Dunbonnet, and his name was actually James Fraser. So, there you go. More than that, did you know that saying to shoot the crow actually means to go away? So the shooting of the bird was almost like a harbinger of Jamie leaving more than anything else. Maybe Diana Gabaldon did more work on this than I thought. And I think this week there was some really fine work from the actors, especially in Sam's portrayal of Jamie, being all stoic and moody and sad, and Tobias being all happy and then hurt. And it was really nice to see a new face, Mary the midwife. And she did really well with what's kind of a thankless role in a lot of ways. Let's face it, she plays it incredibly sympathetically. And I don't know what the readers in the audience think, but there seems to always be a general bit of anger towards anyone that like Jamie even looks at in a way other than Claire. But I felt there was something kind of honest and pure about the way that Mary came to Jamie, and she's not wanting anything from him other than just someone kind to cling to, and to give the same back to him. I mean, maybe I'm just an old romantic. I mean, who knows? And that's kind of it for the things I really liked. I mean, I've got to be honest, there was kind of a lot that kind of bothered me this week. I mean, not that I hated, but it was a fair enough episode. There's just things that left me rolling my eyes or just going, eh? All the way through. I mean, let's start with Claire's story, since it was kind of short. I mean, really short. I mean, even just sorting out the footage for this video, I was shocked that Claire's story made up like less than a third of the episode. Now, I've been told off a lot for not giving Claire enough sympathy for what happened to her, and I will try to do better. And I do accept that she has been through a lot. She had a baby, and she lost the man that she loves, and she had to come through time, and she thinks he's dead, and now she's back together with her husband, who, she's kind of she kind of gave up on, and it also happens to look like a crazy, sadistic, rapist, psychopath. But, she's obviously still hankering after Jamie, and that's come between her and Frank. And her whole seduction of Frank was just kind of icky, frankly. Ugh, bad pun. I mean, Claire was literally just using him for sex under false pretenses. She sleeps with him and is like, I miss my husband, about 2 scenes after having a bit of the old manual release and picturing Jamie in her bed beside her. But Frank might have been oblivious, but the audience knows exactly which husband she's talking about, and it's not Frank. And all that poor guy wants is his wife to love him for him and actually look at him occasionally when they're making love. So again, this is almost like another episode that's just making me not like Claire so much. I mean, before she was a bit grumpy, and you could kind of put that off to old blackjack trauma hate and missing Jamie, but now she isn't quite in that headspace. I mean, she's okay with him touching her, and she's clearly happy to sleep with him, just as long as she thinks about someone else. I mean, it's not really painting her in glory, and I want to like Claire. I liked her in the first season, I liked her for most of season 2, but this is kind of turning her into a bit of a selfish arsehole, really. And hopefully the Doctor storyline will be better, because once we can get past the first baby's book of racism and sexism feel of the writing, I mean, this is the same writing team that made like Deep Space Nine and Battlestar Galactica. I'm sure they could be a bit more subtle than this. As to the Jamie story, Jamie's stoic silence was like a little boring after a while, as was his reluctance to bed Mary after 6 years of like living by himself in a cave. 6 years. I mean, God, I don't know about anyone else, but after about 6 weeks without sex, I get positively cranky, and a couple of Lambrinis am anyone's. But I mean, he's shedding a tear at bedding a nice woman who's proven herself to be a good friend and willing to go to prison to protect his family. I mean, he thinks Claire's gone forever. What's with all this self-imposed suffering? I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Also, there's a bit more clunky villainy to the soldiers this week, which came across as a little bit too pantomimey. I mean, especially the bit where the guy says, good, after he hears that, like, the baby's supposedly dead. I mean, come on, his officer should have just slapped him round the chops for that. And the whole dead baby thing, right, I know they needed a lie, but saying that the baby was dead, I mean, what happens if the watch come around again the next week and there's a baby? I mean, not to mention that, apparently the bad guard never mentioned at all that the baby was supposedly dead to Ian in prison or on the ride back to Lallybrook. I mean, that would have seemed in character, and it felt like that could have been a really a chance of a touching scene. I mean, imagine Ian thinking that his baby has died, and he's coming home all broken-hearted, being taunted by the nasty redcoat, and then he finds out the truth. I mean, that'd be great. It'd be a lovely wee scene for the actor, and that'd be a fantastic little bit, to kind of build up that character. But they just went, nah, it's fine. And he comes home with a bit of a giggle and a jaunt and a laugh. And it's wee things like that that just make me scratch my head, because I feel the show could have done it better. And on a side note, the cutting off of Fergus's hand was nicely enough done, but I felt it could have been more shocking. I mean, maybe again, I'm maybe comparing it like I did earlier to like the bit where Jaime Lannister gets his hand off in Game of Thrones, where you just don't expect it and it comes out of nowhere. But this felt just a little bit overplayed and not that shocking. I mean, maybe that was just me. I mean, on both occasions I knew it was coming, but yeah, as I said, just Game of Thrones seemed to do it a wee bit better. Anyway, those have been my feelings, and I'm hoping next week's going to be better. So until then, I've been Ian, and these are my grumpy opinions.